Yes. Hey, you will make it TV followers, viewers, and supporters across the globe, locally, wherever you may be, tuning in to another live, insightful topic here with your very own Miss Author Tetasheri. We're happy to have you guys. Please remember to show your support by supporting that like button. I hate when my ringtone does that. Oh, you can support us by hitting that like button or clicking the golden subscribe bell. Become a subscriber this holiday season. This way you are notified or you'll receive some type of notification right in under your YouTube notifications every time we post new content. Um, mhm, okay. Yeah, so if you guys, sorry, I was reading some. Uh, if you guys saw the title of this video, I was inspired to come and give my reaction, commentary, and opinions to this seemingly new trend of both hotels and motels joining the whole eviction movement. And I call it an eviction movement because more and more people think it's cool to put people out without working with them. And we're not even talking about homes and apartments right now. We're talking about hotels and motels, like what they call extended stay uh, properties. So let's talk about this for a minute. Let me start my stream by saying most of my topics are just for educational purposes with the intent to get people to go do their own research, their own digging into world matters and world topics and world crises before. To me, this will help to lessen the quick judgments. This is the way we've always done it, but you can't do it the way once you actually have real insight, real evidence, real proof, real things that show you that times have changed, right? And how can you call a place an extended stay motel or hotel, but you're trying to give people a time frame on how long they can stay there? And if you don't believe me, go look up some of these viral TikTok stories lately. Now, I don't know if this is happening in other countries or whatnot just yet, but for sure in America, these hotel, motel owners, they need to get it together, in my opinion. Because how is that not false advertisement for you to call your property an extended stay premises? Extended does mean like extended. That means like a stretch, like a longer length, a longer time frame for something. So you're calling it extended stay motel, but you're posting uh this is funny. You're posting bulletins on people's doors like they're staying in an apartment complex, but this is at a hotel and motel. A lot of people have been seeing this. That's why they're talking about it on social media, TikTok, even the news. Some people been calling the news because they don't understand returning to their hotel or motel room with all their stuff bagged up and thrown to the side. They really have a right to throw your stuff in a dumpster. For those that didn't know that about hotels and motels, they might give you, some may be more lenient than others, but really they can just throw their stuff in the trash. They don't have to go store it anywhere for you. They're not like, just like apartment complexes, they can sit your stuff right on the curb. It's just that with apartment complexes, mortgages, I'm sorry, like homes, these type of agreements, they have to have more so court orders to be doing things like that. A hotel or motel don't need a court order. If they just want you to leave and they post a letter on your door and say they're ready for you and your family to leave, they don't have to have a court order to do that. I think I'm just trying to point out where the clashes seem to be happening, where the people are getting fed up And where I feel like hotels and motel owners can start meeting these people more in the middle. And we're not talking about with the prices of the rooms. Clearly, people have been paying. That's why they stay there. But maybe you can meet people in the middle as far as that. Like, because when did we start this new crap where you're putting a letter on a person's hotel or motel door telling them that they can't stay longer than 30 days? I just keep seeing more TikTok stories about it. Actually, going into the Christmas holiday season, there are more compilation stories of families who have been evicted. Y'all probably like, what's new about that, Miss Author Tetasheri? People have always gotten evicted, but why such large mass number groups of people right around the holidays? Why? It's just a little question. Why? So you mean to tell me people spend so much money for Thanksgiving they couldn't afford December's rent? I'm actually trying to put conclusions together that might make sense. Or what? They spent so much money for Halloween, they didn't have money for rent. As a matter of fact, why don't we just, I'm not encouraging people to do anything because I heard some people are already boycotting some of this Christmas shopping. Because who has time to focus on Christmas gifts when the housing market is still all over the place? The hotels and motels are evicting people. Now, let me explain this the correct way. I'm sure they're not just evicting people for non-payment. It's so many old school thinking people that think that the only reason you get evicted from a hotel or motel room is due to non-payment. You got to catch up with the times. These people can evict you for any reason that they want to, depending on what. No, that's any motel or hotel in the country. But I'm saying, depending on what state you're in, a lot of states have been changed. The housing laws change where they don't even have to have a reason to evict you. So I don't know if one of y'all want to take some time and go thank your landlords for actually committing to and abiding by the contracts that you guys originally, you know what I'm saying, signed together. Because in a lot of states, they don't have to have a reason. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I'm thinking of the right thing. No, they don't have to have a reason to fire you. Now that's pertaining to work. That's a different topic. Yeah, they can just fire you. They don't have to give you a reason, depending on what state you're in. So why are we trying to bring those same methods over to the housing market? You want landlords and hotel owners and everybody to not have to give you a reason for why they need to go. Because, see, we understand if you want to change things that way. We don't agree, but we understand. But if you're going to change things that way, when did we plan to raise minimum wage a little bit? When did we plan to stop trying to control people so much when they're on independent ventures like van life or living out of campers and trailers? I've been hearing a lot of those people. Don't look at those trailer independent lifestyle blogs type YouTube channels and think that their lives are perfect, because some of them, they get targeted too just for living more of an independent life. It's so stupid. They get targeted for some reason. Like one lady, what did they tell her? Oh, they tried to tow her car because of where she was parked, even though she was living in the car. So the lady was sitting outside of her car just crying, kind of talking to the people on live, trying to tell them what she was going through. She said, look, y'all, I'm sitting on the side of the road with all my bags and belongings because they just towed my car because of where my car was parked. And don't think that lady didn't try to probably tell the officers on the scene that, hey, I'm living out of this car. It's nothing to just simply crank the car up and move it to another location. But it's like they're not giving people that luxury. Once somebody stupid reports you living in your car, because I call them stupid, let me explain why. Why would you be worried about somebody else's means of living? I have never seen a time like today where so many others are concerned about the means and living arrangements of others, though they're not helping with a dime or nickel, a scrap, to contribute towards these families in their living arrangements. Because survival is a real word, it's a real term, and it's a real verb to describe what people do when they're living independently anyway. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to be considered living independently. What do you think those guys living out of trailers and vans and turning their homes into mobile buses are doing? What do you think they do for work? Hell, maybe they help to others to convert their homes and vans and stuff to homes. You know what I'm saying? But what have anybody ever really asked that? These traveling mobile families, that have they really ever asked themselves what they do for work? You click on their videos and they have 20K comments and 20K followers and 20K likes because people think it's so interesting to see people live on the road like that. But I never see a lot of people ask them people, hey, what do you do for work? Where did you come up with the funds to even convert your school bus into a home? Where did you come up with the funds for that camper? I don't either. I don't ask those questions. I'm just saying they don't bother those people with those questions. But the rest of us, if we pay rent anywhere, I have never seen a time like today where people are they're so adamant about learning your format or style of how you're getting by with your living arrangements. It's so stupid. One of the basic necessities that a human being needs to survive, remember that word, is shelter. And who are you guys to say what is considered shelter to a person or not? It's more TikTok going virals of people living out of storage sheds, but don't worry, they don't live out of them long because you YouTubers make sure to go report them. Just remember what I said. Shelter is like a actual basic necessity proven by psychologists, science, and whoever else you want to bring up. It's a necessity for a basic standard way of living. No matter where you go, you're going to need some kind of shelter. I don't care if it's a hut, one of those huts that be in villages that you can build by hand. It's still shelter. Some people are living out of tents. It's shelter. And what do? They try to invade their tents. They want to tell them where they can put their tents. It's so stupid. I just want people that might be struggling in that way, that come across you with Make It TV, to know that some of us do care. We actually see that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you bothering a taxpayer living out of your tent? They're still going to find a way to criticize and critique you. You might be just trying to save money for 3 months, 3 to 6 months, so you can get an apartment or so you can elevate to a hotel room and get out of the cold. That's if you survive the tent. Either way, in my book, a tent is a form of shelter as well. Whether it's a mini tent, some of these tents, they're insulated now. They come with heating or they come with cooling systems. Y'all better watch out. Some of these tents are starting to look a little more comfortable than these stable homes you guys claim you have. And I'm not here to make anybody feel bad about having a home, but you can tell those, they'll sit up and say, I'm blessed. Well, how are you blessed to have a home, but you're out here mocking and criticizing those living in a tent? You got to make it make sense. A tent and your home are both forms of shelter. A hotel and motel room has been a form of shelter for many years for people. I don't know one person yet told me they lived out of a hotel for 20 years. So it's obviously a temporary living arrangement. Though people like to jump in your business when they see you living at a hotel for 2 months because you're trying to get over something. And when I say get over something, I mean financially, right? Because who is going to approve you for a home with a credit score of 500 or less? You got to go live somewhere even while you build that credit score. And that's why I do think I'm one of those that think it should be taken very serious when people are identity scamming or card scamming people, bank scamming people. Because I don't think they really be knowing what they're doing to the lives of their victims. One scam to a person's social security number or paycheck or whatever it is they receive financially, just one scam can set a person's credit score back tremendously for the dumb scammers that didn't know that. How do victims know this? Well, Usually it's a main indication that you are being scammed. Like right now, I got a screenshot that my credit score went up 14 points just last month. You know why it went up 14 points? Because I was actually working towards getting it up. And I know exactly how to do it. So they just be playing with the wrong people to me. I actually know how to go about, because that's called being proactive. It might not be a job, but you actually but it is a job in itself, just to sit there and work on your own personal credit score. Working on it is not just staring at it. What are you doing to dispute some things on your credit record? What are you doing to research why your credit score is so low? Are you calling some of the creditors trying to work out your balances? Why am I talking about credit? Well, there's no hotel or motel that I know of yet that's checking your credit score for you to be approved for shelter at one of their hotels or motels. That's why I'm bringing it up. Everybody living out of hotels, motels, tents, and on the side of the street right now, I bet if I go interview them, they're going to tell me that they're dealing with something with their credit. We're not even talking about a job. That's why people are stupid. They'll tell homeless people, go get a job. No job has ever helped a person's credit score. It's not like jobs report to the credit bureau to make your score go up. Shut up if you don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing wrong with a person. Of course, you're going to have a job to live out of a hotel room, idiot. They have to pay every single day. It's not like you pay a monthly rent like when you have a home or an apartment, or a mortgage that you pay. When you live out of those hotel rooms, baby, if you don't have that money by 11 o'clock the next morning, and I don't care what state or country you're in, same with the Airbnbs. If you don't have that money the next morning, see if they don't have your stuff. Hopefully it's not in the trash, but see if they don't have it moved out of that room. Okay? I haven't even broken into the topic yet. I was just covering some points. Remember us talking about points, the 5 points that make up a star? People be bringing up 1 point, thinking they supposed to gain stardom off of 1 point they made. But I'm the type of person, we finna cover all 5 points, or let's not talk about the topic at all. You feel me? But that's why we all have different styles of communication. I'm not going to be everybody's preference of who to listen to. Like, I want to know her opinions about this, because I'm sure finna share them. Now, I'm hearing that more of these hotels and motels are evicting people. And of course, I don't know, but people be out here like, it's because they're nasty. It's because they have too many kids. Once again, hotels have rules for that. They've never gave a damn about you having kids if you need to come and utilize a room for a little while. What they do give a damn about is that there's not more occupants in the room than there is space. So they might require you to get a bigger room. For example, I've always had to pay for like the queen, at least a queen or a king size room. Period. Depending on how many kids you have. And it is what it is. See, my experience taught me a lot. Even if you can't afford, because the bigger the room, the more expensive the price, for those that didn't know. And don't let it be a luxury suite. It doesn't matter. But they do their parts at those establishments to make sure that there's not more occupants occupying the space than there is space. Just like with apartments. A lot of people ain't going to rent to you. They're not going to rent to you a 1-bedroom, but you're writing down on the lease that it's going to be 8 people staying there. Not in America. So what do Americans do? Because I ain't going to say this got me in trouble in the past, but I did have to plead my case and kind of speak up about my opinions. I'm so used to doing it. It's just I'm doing it a different way now. Because people will try to tell you how many people you can occupy the space, blah, 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 even after you get the space. But in China, Indonesia, other places, it do be 20 people living in a 1-bedroom, and nobody says nothing about it. But I bet you they don't have as many homeless communities on the side of the streets either. Period. Any place you go is going to have homeless communities. Like in Mexico, for example, a person can go there, rent out a 1-2 bedroom space, and move as many people in there as they want to. And then in Mexico, or Mexicans, they taught us a lot because they do it. They come here and do it. Everybody, they might be living out of a 2 bedroom or 1 bedroom space, and it might be 10 of them in there. But guess what? All 10 of them working. They don't have to live in that tight space for long. I don't like that they made this accessible, or they made this allowable for Mexicans and every other race. But you see a black person move 20 people in a house trying to help their family members. Oh, they all got to be criminals. They all must have some agenda, and these are just things that I've been noticing for quite some time. No, I'm not talking about housing programs and rental assistance. Some people do pay their rent out of pocket, or they have before, if they don't want to talk about now. And if a person is not on housing and they're paying rent out of pocket, unfortunately, they can't say how many people can stay with them. They have to abide by the rental agreements. And I feel like this is worth speaking on because you got a lot of friends, family, close knitted people who do end up beefing over that. They be somewhere talking about such and such wouldn't let me stay with them. You know what I'm saying? Building foundations off of whole grudges. Make sure the grudge that you have with somebody, first of all, make sure that grudge is like, what's that word? It's a word that I'm looking for. Make sure that your grudges are, because this ain't what the Bible say. God actually teaches against grudges. But if I say anything about it, all I'm saying, people grudges don't even be credible to me. Because how you going to get mad at a person who couldn't move you in when their lease agreement says no more than 5 occupants for a 2 bedroom? You mad about that? Go talk to the HUD and the housing and the state lawmakers about that, because they're the ones that make the laws about how many occupants can fill up a space while a person is in a lease agreement. Even if you call your kinfolk, right, and you be like, hey, I just need to live with you for 6 weeks. All of y'all that's had kinfolks that let y'all do that, you need to call them and thank them. Because, see, they're putting their own lease on the line just to let you stay with them. If their lease says no more than 7 people should live in this unit at a time, because it's only a 1 or a 2 bedroom. And it's always been like this. People just didn't care. They feel like you should just open a door when they need somewhere to stay. I always try to be at least somewhat grateful or give these people a time frame that I will be out of your way, even if it's an Airbnb. It's like Airbnbs have been giving people more leeway than hotel and motels rooms, and they wonder why these people get more business. Plus, they feel like they're in more of a homely space. A hotel is not homely. It might feel like a home once you're actually in the room, but as soon as you step out of that room, you're going to be reminded that you are still at a hotel. I just respect hotels and motels for some reasons, and I don't respect them for others. You know what I mean? Like, you got to thank them. They don't do credit checks. They don't even do background checks. They don't do rental history checks. All you got to have is a check and an ID. And guess what? Now you have shelter, which could be damaging for a lot of parents. Because I don't know if there's something they might do in the near future, but let's just say they start adding unpaid hotel and motel room fees or damages to hotel and motel rooms. What if they actually started adding that to people's credit history? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people credit history would get worse because they don't be paying off these hotel rooms. Some of them leave with balances. That's why they end up evicted. And yeah, more hotel owners, they be speaking up about that, like how quote unquote filthy or damaged families are leaving these rooms. We know apartments talk about it, and homeowners talk about it, and Airbnb hosts talk about it. because they're the ones that have to go in there and, you know what I'm saying, put in money for those renters that don't understand that. It's just a lot of people that don't understand the renting process to me, but they so ready to go rent and get their own place. You know, like even back when I was younger, if I could do things different, uh, how can I say this? Ain't nothing wrong with being a college student living out of a hotel room if you need to. Because some of us were college students in our early 20s or right after high school. Not everybody has the privilege, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to stay here with my parents till done with college. If you are one of those, you're a very blessed person. But even that is getting rarer. Like, more parents are believing once the kid is 18, they should be out there on their own. Why do you think the homeless shelters are full of young people? Why do you think the hotels and motels are full of young people? They have old people there too. And I don't know what that's about. I think they're able to keep their homes due to, they might have more fixed income, re- retirement income, disability income checks that they can expect to come regularly, so they don't have to worry about how they're going to pay their hotel rooms when they're elderly. But yeah, this made me mad to see that now they're trying to tell people. Like, this one lady shared a story that the hotel told her, and she was working 2 jobs, she had kids, she was a single mother, her kids were going to school, they had all their doctor's appointments and stuff caught up on, okay? And yet, with all the stresses that came with the life she already had to live, because when you live at a hotel or motel, I guess y'all thought it was free to wash your clothes. That's another thing they do. They jack up the prices in those laundry facilities inside of the hotels and motels because they're trying to suck you for every dollar that they can. They're going to have vending machines, washers and dryers. What else? Some of them have snack sections where you can come up and order food. So all of that comes with hotel stay as well. But they told the lady that she couldn't stay longer than 30 days in the same room. I'm just trying to make sure people are aware of the way that these hotels and motels are changing, though there is a homelessness crisis. You know, what a fine time for hotels and motels to start changing stuff like that. Maybe I bet you they'll change stuff up real soon in a minute, though, when people start banning and boycotting them, too. It's like these businesses forget your business is because people are paying you to be in business. But if they come there bringing you their money and you treat them like anything, what else are you forcing people to do? Live out of their cars? Shack up with family members? Because shacking up with them, like I said, you're putting their rental and lease and mortgage agreements at jeopardy too, because really, nobody's even supposed to be in their homes unless they're on the lease. You see, it's just a bunch of people coming together trying to override the law, if you ask me. The law is just paperwork until you actually enforce it. It's just things written down on papers and books until you actually enforce it. Because obviously that's what the criminals think. This segment is not about criminals today. This segment is about people that are actually trying. Because what's wrong with them living out of a hotel motel room? But they told her she couldn't be, like, she could move to another room, but every 30 days she was practically going to have to just keep switching rooms just to stay at that property. Because they didn't want people, like, they made it clear to her, like, this is not an apartment complex. This is a hotel, and you can't stay in this room longer than 30 days. Here's my warning, my prophetic warning to hotels and motels, because they already been doing too much. If you keep on making it more of a hardship for people to survive at your property than it is helping them, you're only going to fuck your own business up. There's no nicer way to say it. I said, well, maybe they've had conflict with letting people stay a whole year, 6 months, 3 months at their properties. Because why would you have people keep switching rooms? It just seems stupid. If you got a person that's committing to paying that same room every month, I'm just trying to think as like a business owner myself. I wouldn't put that person out unless they give me a reason to. What do you mean? And this is because a regular customer is different from a new customer. They be saying, oh, we're trying to make room. We got to have rooms available for our new customers. So you're going to put on a mask and pretend like you're whatever you're supposed to be to the new customers and treat the old ones like what? You're going to mess your business up thinking like that. But we're going to let them do what they think is best, right? They think it's just weird. They think they're setting up scenarios to have most of the country homeless. The more homeless you have, the more slaves you have. Because when people are homeless and struggling, they're more likely to commit crimes just to make sure their baby stomachs aren't growling, just to make sure that they have the basic necessities. Yeah, they're more likely to commit crimes. So it doesn't really look good that we're not doing more to help prevent homelessness. Because you can treat people however once they actually are homeless. So what if they're on the verge and they just need $500 more to pay their rent? They're on the verge and they just need a little food, so they don't have to use their food money on the rent. Stuff like this. These are called preventative measures that you should have in place, ready to help prevent people from losing their places. The only resistance I see is people who want to suddenly deem and use their titles as taxpayers as leverage to overstep the boundaries of privacy, of livelihood, of those that are barely getting by. Like, if you're doing so well in life, where do you have time to be focusing on how the poor are living? They're living the same way they've always been living. They're getting by. They're making it do what it do. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Is there anything else you need to know? These people can't be happy. They got to be miserable. But they claim they have so much money and that they know what's best for the future of homeless communities. But these the same ones working so hard to make the poor look like, why are we even spending our tax dollars on them? Oh, they don't deserve a home. Yeah, but you'll invest in the prison systems, though. Because, that's shelter, too. Just being in prison, you're not on the streets. And you're going to get a meal 3 times a day. You're going to get a blanket to sleep with at night. You're going to get toilet paper to be able to wash your behind. You even get a bar of soap and a toothbrush. And to some people, these are more luxuries than they've received as a homeless man on the street with their freedom. It's so sad. Then they acting like they don't know what's good. All of this stuff is connected. You already know we're more willing and likely to fall into cycles of crime. And the worst part of a cycle of a crime to fall in my opinion, is the cycle of victimhood. That is a part of criminalism. There is no crimes committed without any victims to commit those crimes against. Like, who just sits around and commit crimes against themselves all day? Like, since when? So yes, most criminalism cycles do create more victims. Then they commit the crimes and you house them in the jails with no problem. The taxpayers have no problem with that. But they out here trying to judge how you're living with your freedom. It's so weird. What am I trying to say? Now they're targeting people who live out of hotels and motel rooms. I never thought I would see today. Because how you fight these kind of things, You have more people that stand up and tell their stories about how hotels and motels actually were a stepping stool to them and what they created out of the opportunity and where they are now. I like that one couple. There's a couple I watch on YouTube where they showed their transition from living in a van to living in a tent. Shout out to that channel. They know who they are. They're a couple. But it's a lot of couples, they kind of show this lifestyle. And I think it's smart, actually, because, you can make an income off of social media, through monetization. If they want to share their stories and their lives, leave them alone. We actually need to see more of that. Because now people want to pretend they ain't never had to go through a struggle in their life to get where they are today. Even these people that seem so successful, ask them where they started. Because I'm never going to forget it. Y'all ain't never heard Nick Cannon's story? Now you want to judge him for how many kids he has. The thing about it is he can have as many kids as he wants to because he self-made his success. Oh, they can't stand the self-made people. But anyways, regardless of how his success came, if he want to have young boy too, NBA young boy, all of them with a lot of kids. That's their point. They can have as many kids, build as big of a family as they want to. They've earned that. They don't say nothing about those, but don't be poor and have a lot of kids. Talking about, oh, they're worried about kids and they can barely take care of the kids. And somebody said one of the wisest comments I saw ever in a long time. They said, y'all are stupid for judging people with a lot of kids because you don't know what they've been through. I said, bingo, bingo. And more people should actually think this way. You swear everybody with a lot of kids just sat there to choose. They chose by choice to lay on their back and have all those kids. You don't know what situation got them pregnant. Not everybody got pregnant willingly, though it's an uncomfortable topic for people. There is babies walking around here right now. We know it's to be here. I'm saying there's grown-ups that their parents didn't even... I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say, but you just never know how a baby got here. You better go to some third world countries and find out. Some of them through incest, some of them through forced arranged marriages, some of them through sex trafficking agreements. You don't know if somebody got pregnant with their child. You just like to bash people with children. And them the ones I really feel like be behind the scenes actually paying for inappropriate content. It's like they just be exposing themselves by talking so down on birth givers and people who have multiple children and raising them by theirself. Them raising them by theirself should show you a lot. I told y'all, this is the best way I can explain it. Everybody wants to be a star, but not everybody wants to actually work on all 5 points that create a star. You thought you was finna go out here and talk about people with a lot of kids and who are single mothers, and that was just going to be the end of it, and that makes you a star. But you didn't even speak on the other 4 points. Make that make sense. If you only going to speak on 4 points, you're not a star, you're a square. Now, if you cover all 5 points, then you're a star. And if you cover none of the points at all, but you're benefiting off of poor people somewhere, you're just a circle. That's just you and your circle doing that shit. Everybody's not with that. So 1 minute they'll be like, oh, babies are a blessing and kids are such a joy and a blessing. And the next minute they're saying we're having too many of them. So I don't know what these people feel anymore. I just want to be the best me I can be. That's all I'm a go out. When I say go out with a bang, that's it. Being me. Then I have no regrets in my grave. Did I go out being me? Did being me get me taken out? Then I'm happy in my grave. Oh, there's so many points to cover here because People are like, release the Epstein files, and yeah, we need to go after the pedophiles and stuff. But still, sex trafficking is still one of the number one richest schemes right now. If so many people were really against this, who are the ones out here? Because we know selling people is illegal, but we know people are doing it. Because why are people still coming up missing? But so many of y'all say y'all are against this. I'm just trying to make this make sense. Huh? It's so stupid. They're talking about the people that's actually doing the sex work, but we need to talk more about the people behind the sex work, which I think America's doing a great job. That's just why things look all over the place. We're one country that is trying to make a difference in that arena. Probably not everybody, and the statistics prove that. They be thinking them commenting in the comment section saying sex trafficking is wrong is all it takes. We all know it's wrong. Tell a criminal that, they don't care. Tell a pimp that, they're not going to care. Tell a gangster, some high profile person who's able to do what he wants. They know it's wrong too. They don't stop them from doing it. Stop looking at the sex workers and what they do and the sexual lewd acts that are going on, and start looking more at who might be behind this stuff. That's why I say hotels and motels, they probably don't have too much more lifespan as it is. I actually hope Airbnbs continue to compete with them and outrun. I hope they become the new face of what we used to call travel stay. The original intent and purpose, because hotels go back as far as what, the 1800s? The point and purpose of them were for people that are crossing through town to have a place to stay. And now look, people are checking into these places to have a long-term place to stay. They said at least they don't have a light bill. They get free Wi-Fi, stuff that when you actually have your own unit, you have to pay for those things. But these things are included in the price when you live at those places. So you got a lot of runaway kids, runaway teens. They're not even old enough to check in to a hotel. So what do? They end up trusting some adult who promises them things that had they just waited till they got old enough, they could have got theirselves. And this is how this cycle goes. They make them feel like they're God. I can give you this. I can give you that. Well, yeah, they would need an adult to do it, because in America, you have to be at least 18 years old just to go check in and get a hotel room for yourself, right? So that's what you mostly see today. A bunch of people 18 years or older checking in there, and that's if they got an ID. I don't know why a person wouldn't have an ID, but if they have an ID, they can check in. They ain't got to fill out no paperwork, lease contracts. They don't have to go through background or credit checks, which is scary, actually, because you just never know. When you're living out of a hotel or a motel, let me explain something to people. You do not get to control the others that they let stay there. Just like apartments, just like neighborhoods. All you control is where you choose to stay and what you choose to pay for and what kind of service you expect back, what kind of respect you expect back, because you're paying somebody your money. So anyways, you just never know who's next door to you when you're at a hotel or a motel. Let's start there. You don't know who's downstairs or above you. You don't know none of them people. You're just there trying to get by with what you're going through in your life. And we have to start pointing this out more, because for too long, people want to use what surrounds you to define you. And it's stupid. If you're just looking at that person, keep all external factors out of it and then see who that person is. You know? Make sure hotel staff ain't out here, because there was a city in Texas. I don't know which hotel it was, but they just got exposed for that because the people caught this person going in their room while they was coming back. This person had a key to their whole room, and it wasn't a housekeeper. It wasn't anybody that should have been in their room. I don't know why hotels and motels be trying to cover up that they be. I don't know if they're giving access to people's keys and rooms or what. If anything, hotels and motels should humble themselves. They should be first in line to give more affordable prices to families who need to stay out of these rooms right now, as much as they're under fire for the shit that they be having going on. You remember the Kanika Jenkins story? She wasn't even living out of a hotel. She had a family. She had a family. She had a home. She was just at a hotel party. You feel me? What I'm trying to say is what I ain't heard nobody else say yet. These hotels and motels are not safe. They're just not safe anymore. I don't know if they need to up the security. They claim they have cameras at the front desk in the lobby areas and in the hallways, yet there's still so much X trafficking going on. Most people that come and say, hey, I need to check in a room with my kids, I feel like they should start making people prove, because this is how dangerous it's gotten. It's gotten this crazy. People should be forced to prove that any minors they have with them when they check into a hotel or motel room, they need to be able to prove that those minors actually belong to them on a legal custody level. Otherwise, you have a bunch of adults that's just checking in places claiming that certain kids are theirs. And, hotels just be playing stupid. They know everybody that check in there, them is not their kids. You see a grown person going in a room with a kid and that ain't their parent, what do you think is going on? Unless it's a school event, because I've been on school events where we might go on a field trip where we got to spend a night somewhere. And then, you're with your teachers, you're with the staff who brought you on the field trip. But other than that, because field trips, they're able to prove that when they get to the hotels and events that, hey, we're such and such school. They show their badge, they show their credentials, and these are the students that are here with us. They usually do head count checks like every second. Like I have 4 kids, but I do head count checks a lot too. Like, I only see 3 of y'all. Where's that 4th one? Or, hey, I see you 2 in here, but where are the other 2? You should be doing head count checks. Anyways, a head count is always great. This is how you're able to better pinpoint when somebody is missing. You know what I'm saying? If you know, like, hey, she usually don't leave at this time, or he usually is home from work by 11 p.m. Those be those inconsistencies that people forget about. See, if you keep something the same for so long, it's more obvious when something changes. Period. Enough said. That's not even a quote, but it should be a quote that I record. If something's been the same way for so long, and then suddenly there's a change, why wouldn't you expect a person to notice that? Even if they just like, that's strange, or they're going to at least notice it. They've been doing the same routine. They've been eating the same things. They've been shopping at the same place. Then suddenly there's changes, and you expected them to ignore that, or you expected to be able to say they weren't paying attention. The thing about a single struggling parent, even if they're living out of a hotel or motel, they don't have time to play games with people. All the time they have is to be coming up with the room money for the very next day. You probably have students right now who sit next to another student in their classroom whose family is living out of a hotel room. But their job is not to come to school and tell you all their living situation. That's another thing I've been noticing. You feel me? Let me say this first. What I noticed versus what's actually being reported on the news. That there are actually school districts right now, this fall semester, who have been missing kids in attendance, which is a violation of their right to an education. They said these kids just been absent. And then when they called the families to see what's going on, the whole time the family was busy looking for a shelter. Because stupid people think you just call a shelter and the first shelter you call has room for you to come. That's not how that works. Just because you're in Dallas, Texas, doesn't mean the first 5 shelters you call in Dallas, Texas is going to have room for you and your family. There are other factors that matter. How big your family is versus how much space they have because of the people they already have there. They might put you on a wait list because they might not have room at that moment, but they know 3 families are supposed to move out next week. And I don't blame anybody who chooses, let me say this too, to stay out of a hotel or motel versus a shelter. Some of them shelters ain't nothing but a trap to get you in some legal trouble. Because as soon as you break one of their rules or violations, it should just be they put you out and put you on the street. But no, because I can understand that. Hey, you broke a rule, you broke a violation, we're going to kick you out. Just like a hotel, motel, apartment, or home would do. But now at those shelters, they go even further. They like to use their credentials and positions to, what, make you look criminal? Because you didn't abide by their rules. And trust me, they're just more lenient at hotel motels. The very last one I stayed, well, I ain't gonna say the very last one, but the one before the very last one I stayed at, me and the kids were so fortunate. And you couldn't tell a person at that time that you were blessed. You had to know that for yourself. At that time, people said, why are you doing that? Why don't you just come stay here? Go stay there. Number one, for the idiots in the back who didn't know, you pay taxes on a room, and these are the same taxes that you can report for tax season when it's time to report your earnings and everything you paid for the year. You actually get a certain tax break if you're able to show, real records that you paid for hotel rooms throughout that year. And if you were working, I'll do another segment on that because y'all know it's about tax season again. And it's just things like this. I'm not saying I'm the all in all professional when it comes to tax etiquette and education. But there are things like that I don't think people know. Like you can be reimbursed for travel if that travel had to do with you going to work. You can be reimbursed for the taxes you paid on hotel rooms if you have proof that you were actually doing work. And we're not talking about sex work, idiots. If you can prove that maybe you were a locksmith while you lived out of a hotel room, or you were a barber, or you were a nail tech, or maybe you washed cars, you cut grass, but your earnings was only enough for you to go get a hotel room as a home, or your credit score wasn't fair enough. Because see, people got to look at that. Ain't no way that your credit gets approved for a property, and then a year within you being in that property, your credit score done fell 80 points. Because, you wouldn't even make it in a property a year if you're not paying it. So make sure you guys are asking these properties before you sign these contracts if they report credit. It doesn't hurt. Like a lot of properties do, but not until you have completed a lease agreement. How it usually works is after you successfully complete a lease agreement, they report this to your credit. And now your credit has gained a few points because you were able to pay something off successfully. And people should ask more, like, with everything they do these days, do y'all report to credit? Because you ask a hotel, a motel room, they're going to tell you no. Anything you pay towards that room, you actually don't get anything out of it but the temporary stay in that room until you move out. If you're going to get anything out of it, you need to keep all the receipts and bank statements, account summaries, that proved what you were paying. Okay? And because I feel like God is leading me to talk about this. Just like from my experiences, right? Like there's other tax breaks too. Like the child care. If you pay for child care throughout the year, it's not just what you paid, but maybe the taxes towards those fees. You can get that money back when it's time to file your taxes. Like me next year, I won't qualify for that unless I'm reporting money that I actually paid my physical daughters to ever babysit, right? Which they don't have cash apps or PayPals where I can pull up the statements and say, look, I can prove it. Throughout this whole year, this young lady made like $300 watching her baby sister. You got to have that's another thing. You got to have a tax preparer that knows what they're doing, because you might can still, even if it's like you paid a teen, a high schooler who was looking to make extra money, you paid them to watch your baby through the year, you can report that on your taxes and actually get some money back too. I guess they thought some of us didn't know. For gas mileage reimbursement, those of you guys that are living van lives, bus lives, campers, or living at a hotel or a motel room, you need to pay attention to what tax breaks you might be eligible for, because just because you have to live that way. I bet you they'll hurry up and fix this housing crisis when people start learning that. You don't want them to know what they can benefit from. It's not that people struggle on purpose just so they can get certain tax breaks. But like I was saying on my quote, if anybody's going to benefit off my struggle, it should be me. So you can't get mad at a person getting educated and knowledgeable about things that they qualify for because they're in a certain situation. Who do you know who has a house but they choose to stay at a hotel room? Unless their house is getting renovated or painted or sprayed for pests and mice, that's the only time you see somebody who has a home, but they're still living in a hotel room. Because most people cannot afford to sit there and pretend that they need to be in a hotel room. If they have a place where they can pay rent, they're usually going to sit there and pay rent. But see, it make you wonder, why are more people moving into those? They thought they had it, but no, when you got people that ain't even finished their lease agreement willingly moving to shelters and hotel and motel rooms, it got to be something going on. They willingly moving in tents, and they're happy they did it because they said they're saving more money out there in a tent. See, you got to look, it's how you perceive your situation. If you tell yourself, oh, I'm homeless, I'm living in a tent, I'll never be nobody, or I'm nobody. That's the thing about me. I caught on to that. I'm going to know who I am regardless of what struggle is going on. Because some struggles we create, some we don't. That's the difference between a natural disaster and an unnatural disaster. I just can't wait till certain spiritual abuses are also deemed as unnatural disasters. Because that's not natural. It's a choice to sit there and do spiritual work to cause something to happen to somebody. How is that natural? That means had you just left that person alone, they probably would have been paying rent just fine. But they still want to play stupid. Obviously, more people are doing sneaky things just to see people out on the streets and then pay attention to what they're going through while they out on the streets. Why would they have so many people surrounding them, coming after their credit score, their identity, their kids, while they're homeless? Clearly, the answer to that is it's easier to target people that are homeless. Y'all didn't see reports that homeless people are coming up missing? I've been praying, if it matters to anybody, I've been praying that some of those people come up. Or even if all of them don't get found, I pray that some of them do make it out of whatever weird situations they're in so they can tell us what's going on. Like I said, it's easy to pull up on somebody that's homeless and say, hey, come get in my car. I got a warm place you can sleep. And then by the time they get to your warm place where they can sleep, you trying to use them and abuse them for something else. For all of y'all talking about why they just don't go stay with their families. Because families have their own bills to pay. Their own, when a family signed up for their house, they wrote certain names down that's going to live in their house. Most people don't say, oh yeah, by the way, landlord, I might let a family member come stay with me from time to time. But I do know landlords know this is true. And landlords really don't care long as they get their rent money. They don't care about you having a roommate. Usually they just ask you to make sure that you add that person on the lease. I hope to see more of them get in trouble too. Like when it come down to crimes and stuff that happen to people while they were renting from you, it's like, why weren't you doing more work? Why didn't you know that person had 3 extra people living in a house? Why didn't you know that person had people breaking in their shit every time they leave? Like, come on, bro. Y'all see how my ringtone just dinged after I said that? In the spiritual world, we call those confirmations. But like, oh, you know when the rent is due and you know how much you're supposed to be paid, but you're supposed to be so dumb about other things that people are going through. And you quick to just kick them out. So more of y'all should stand up and make sure that you're coming to these eviction hearings and court procedures. I've seen so many people that just give up. They don't even go to court, but they wondering why their credit score ain't changing. Go to court and at least try to fight for your property. That's another thing. I saw that mortgage payers says something about they can't afford. Man, it's so much going on all the way across the just know some of them said they're being forced to, whatever the situation is, they feel like they're being forced to sell their homes because they cannot afford the mortgage or some weird stuff. If y'all know what I'm talking about, leave an expansion and extension of what I'm touching on in the chat for those that might be tuning in with us, because I've never paid a mortgage. But I'm like, if people on that level who invested $20,000, $50,000 into a house are still having issues paying towards the mortgage payment, something ain't right. And some of them, they just be crying on TikTok because they like, some of y'all don't know how I feel yet to spend years saving up $20,000 and then you go find a house that you like. It's just crazy. Like, not a lot of people can say they've ever saved $20,000. I can't even say that I just saved it and it was in my savings for a goal I had. I might have saved for a car here and there, but it was never like, I ain't never had no $20,000 car. So the most I can say that I've just saved at a time was probably enough for a car. And then guess what? Now I have no savings once I got the car. So some of us don't take that lightly. Those little crimes people be doing to people cars and stuff too, we don't take that lightly. It's so sad because you don't know how long a person had to wait to get that car, what they had to go through to make sure they had the car notes. Because some people let their car note be late. See how much that car man call you. See how many voicemails he leave you. Okay? Insurance too. When you don't pay your car insurance payment, see how them people ain't gonna call you over and over again. And your policy will expire too. They don't be playing about that as far as you paying your money. So I just feel like customers and consumers should be more. It's not about trying to be bullies. You have a right to make sure that the services that you're supposed to be being provided are being serviced, because why would somebody have you, even a hotel or motel room? One time I was in a hotel room though, I can't make this up. My first night there, the toilet flooded, and I wouldn't say it damaged our clothes. It could have damaged everything I had on the floor. Um, had I not went and threw it in the washers, and it was just the weirdest situation. Even the hotel thought it was weird. We did one flush of the toilet and it overflooded. And for some reason, they didn't think that they should reimburse me. They didn't think that they should give me a free night. They didn't think that they should give me money to help me wash all the stuff. They didn't think they should give me money for my time, anything I could have been late to that morning. You know what I'm saying? Because now I'm putting in time to sit here and try to get wet stuff all over the floor. They did have staff come and clean it up, but that don't mean staff cleaned up my items that were in the room that got damaged. But that's another thing I'll have to spin a block about. Because I just wonder what they owe me. Like, how is that the renter's fault, especially if it was your first night there? They should have it in a system somewhere. Every time they do a maintenance, you know what I'm saying? Every time a maintenance report is put in, I'm just thinking about something like, do hotels and motels, are they required to keep a record of this, just like apartments or homes or anywhere else would be? When I came to that desk and said, hey, there's a flood in my room, did y'all put that in the system for that room? Because I bet you have my, what I paid. They got to keep that kind of stuff on record. Why do you think they ask for your ID just to get a room? So if they ever need to look you up, they can. And everything that happened during your stay there. But anyways, that was like the only maintenance issue while I was at that particular one. And it to this day is strange to me that you flushed the toilet and it just overflowed. I'm talking about the whole room was wet. Not just the bathroom. You know, so I'm using it for an example. I don't want people to have to go through what I went through. You should be, just like they are demanding when it comes to their money, you should be demanding about the services that you should be receiving in a professional manner while you are a tenant, while you are a renter or a hotel stay resident. But I honestly think this is just the beginning of the downfall of hotels and motels, honestly. Because people have been speaking out for so long. As a matter of fact, where do you think most of these prostitution and ex-trafficking crimes happen? At hotel rooms. And now, I might be the first to say it, but I've been wanting to say it. Please, even if you in a bad situation, look at the times of today. It's not you. What they trying to say? Well, if you see yourself having to go stay at a hotel room, you might as well give your kids to CPS for a little while. Because that's what I'm trying to see. Ain't nobody doing nothing to clean up the hotels and motels and what be going on in there. So what are you forcing parents who actually do work and have the money to pay for these rooms? What are you telling them? That they should give their kids to family members and CPS because they have to live out of a hotel room? It has running water. It has beds. Pretty much everything you could need for your child, it already comes with it in a room. It's already furnished. It has AC, heating. It's going to have running water. You're going to get soap and towels. All you got to bring is your stuff. But most hotel rooms are furnished. You don't have to put anything in it. But you want it to look like people should give their kids up once they get to that level because they're trying to get through something or because they stay there by choice. So you saying all parents should get their kids up if they find themselves in a situation where they have to go live at a hotel room. Since when were hotels this dangerous? If a parent ain't safe, just living there, are people safe just booking rooms so they can go on vacation? Some of these vacations and business trips people go on be like 2 days, 3 days, maybe a week. So they're not living out of them, but are they safe when they're there? And shout out to those of you who have actively and proactively been working towards leaving more reviews or sharing more stories of your experiences when you stay at these places. Because to me, just hiring and firing new people, that ain't even getting it no more. I see these establishments falling. That's why they be trying to get my channel banned because I say stuff like this. They think it's talking witchy or negative. No, it's just like prediction. It's like putting two and two together. Why would you stay in business and people are not safe in your establishments with their kids? They're suddenly getting CPS calls and charges put on them just for having to live at a hotel. Obviously, they're not as safe as they used to be. I don't know if they ever were safe. I mean, I could talk all night about this, but I ain't gonna go all night, y'all. But there are people out here that care. So we're giving like tips and things to watch out for if you do find yourself, you know, in a lot of states, the babies over 12 and over, they're old enough, by law to quote unquote sit at home alone, right? While the parent works or run errands. But the reality is there be kids younger than 12 sitting at home. These local Walmarts y'all like going to, retailers, not online shopping, I'm talking about physical places that you go every day and you see people at work. Most of those people at work have children who are 12 and under. And if you think that all of them have, all the parents can afford babysitters and childcare, you're crazy. The reality is, for generations, kids stay at home so their parents can go to work. And you got bums and idiots who are just trying to live off the system and live off the hardworking people. Even the hardworking people that are struggling, they don't care. Long as they got it in the criminal's eyes. But, it's so weird. Nobody else is speaking up about it. I'm going to do a separate topic about that, what I feel about that. Because they want it to be masked and covered up, but I see straight through it. They want people to be so burdened working 10 to 12 hours a day to be able to keep up with the rent on their hotel rooms or the rent at their apartments so their kids will be at home alone. And as long as sex trafficking percentages and kidnappings and all these other crimes against children are going on, I'm just one of those parents. I don't feel safe going away for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours to a job. They can attack my independent entrepreneur work all they want to. It just makes what I'm saying seem a little more true, in my opinion. Because you can work 8 hours at home for your own business. You can work 10 hours at home for your own business. You can work 12 hours at home. You can even pull a 24-hour shift from home, if it means your kids being safe. Okay? I don't know what other mothers out there needed to hear this, but you can do the same blood, work, and sweat that you put in for a company for your own business, even if it's being a lash technician, a tattoo artist, whatever it is you do, a private dancer. You can do all that from home. I'm seeing what the real issue is. Y'all want people to be away from home so you can get to their kids. That's what it's looking like to me. You remember of a man who wasn't even that girl's parents. He was able to check out a teenager out of school. I don't know what the office lady was busy doing, because you're supposed to check the child's records and make sure that that person is even allowed to pick up the child. They want to say the parents at home doing drugs. It seems like some of these professionals are doing drugs. How the hell does a stranger check out? How old was that girl? 15? 16? Oh, yeah, when the police caught him, guess where he had the girl? At his house. The police walked in, actually, while he thought he was finna do whatever. I hope they sneak up on more pedophiles like that, actually, who think they have gotten away with it for so long. Ain't nobody watching them. Ain't nobody watching them from the sidelines. I told you, that's the thing. People want to be stars, but they don't know shit about all 5 points. They want to become a star off of 1 point. Yeah, because how they caught him, they pulled up straight to his front door. This idiot opens the door. Thank God for the young teenager he had in his house. And you know where the police took her? Back to her parents. But then they had some questions for her parents. Uh, where did you know? Yeah. Oh, what are y'all doing? What happened? We dropped you off at school this morning. They couldn't believe what they were being told. They said, "You sure? How did she get to school this morning?" They said, "We dropped her off. We waved and everything." Well, did you know your child was over here? And that story, the reason I'm bringing it up, it exposes that you cannot sit here and continue cycles of blaming the parents for these sideline ass child abuse scandals. Because that seems set up. The office lady just let you check out a child that wasn't even, because the parents confirmed that they was like, "Do you know this man?" They said they didn't know that man. They had never seen that man in their life. And I don't think they were lying. So how the hell is it the parent fault when a whole stranger is abusing your child? It's a real question. It might be the parent's fault that the parent was born, because had the parent not been born, her child wouldn't even be here for you to abuse. So if anything is the parent's fault, it's their existence. Because every parent is a parent because they created a new child. That's all people do. Actually, I think everybody that's ever been caught pocket watching somebody, they need to be investigated. Because, see, that's what they go off of. Well, this person ain't getting no money. So now that I seen what they money look like, I'm going to throw shots and slugs about how they need to go to work. And this will get me closer to their child. Because that young lady's parents was at work. Imagine being called from work. "Hey, we got your child at the police station. We just caught her in a grown man's house." And you thought the child was at the middle school. And then they show you a picture of the man and you like, "No, he ain't, that ain't her uncle." "Oh, well, he told us that." That's what they do. I guess this stranger came to the school and told y'all he was her uncle. And the child apparently went along with it because she left with him. A child with sense that know that they don't know you. Maybe it was out of fear. Maybe he was blackmailing her or threatening her, which I don't know why people pretend that ain't a part of it. Why else would a pedophile get away with so long? That's usually what they do. They threaten the child so that they're scared to tell anybody what's going on. But I know she had to have some friends or something at school that was like, "Girl, who is that?" No, you just left with the man. Some of the sneakier teenagers that sneak away from school to go on dates or do these whatever they do, because we're not going to pretend like that's not real with high school girls. They used to call it skipping. And thank God people were paying attention. I just didn't understand back then. When your teacher knows I just couldn't hide from life if I wanted to. You're a straight A student, Tetasheri. We haven't seen you. You've been here all day long for the rest of your classes, but for some reason, every time during sixth period, you gone. I thought back then the teacher was just marking me absent. So I'm giving a word of advice to teachers pertaining to these skipping kids. All they do now is leave a voicemail for the parents saying, "Oh, your child wasn't in sixth period today." The child comes home and you like, "Hey," they don't know how you know, but they been changed that law where they actually notify the parents. It's state law that they do that now. Because I was in school back when I remember they didn't even used to call your parents. If you was absent or had absent days, your parent didn't find out until the report card. Because report cards are not just about grades. Attendance is a whole section on every report card. Parents, start paying attention. I mean, I look at it as we give each other advice. But any grown person out there just want to bogart and tell somebody how to do something, but you can't give other people advice, something's wrong with it. And you clearly have evidence of experience of being a parent yourself and being a student. So, like I was saying, if more parents were paying attention to the attendance records, that would tell you a lot too about what your child is doing behind your back. So, they're going to leave a voicemail and say, your child missed eighth period. We all know eighth period is probably at the end of the day, but it gives the parent a little bit to work with. Like, oh, okay, now your child get home. Sweetie, why wasn't you in eighth period? And eighth period. And the kid could even try to lie. But you're going to know they lying because the school already called you. No, mama, I was at school. Well, they say you wasn't there. And like I said, the conversation shouldn't stop there. So where were you? You know, a kid gonna lie, say the park, the mall. But I know everybody's disciplinary procedures are different. But parents really should take that serious. I don't know how parents have been dealing with this over the years. When schools call telling you your teenager wasn't there today, but you know you dropped your teenager off. It's clearly a red flag that something is going on. Who is your teenager leaving with when most grown people are at work while the kids are at school? That's the first thing. But it's not new. I'm mentioning teenagers because they're the main ones to be skipping school. Even if they don't do it every day. Every teenager I've come across so far, they skipped at least one class or one day of school. But this was crazy because she had actually been dropped off at school that day by her parents. Because I'm studying the minds of predators. I don't care. They think they studying us. Now that I understand why they study us, that's another part of my study. What predator do you know in the jungle right now don't study its prey before it pounces? Literally. It's studying that deer and how long it's been standing there, and it's hiding in the grass somewhere, waiting for the perfect time to attack. This is the same way with child predators. Why am I mentioning child predators so much? They definitely linger around hotels and motels. Duh. They definitely linger around motels, hotels, anywhere they think a kid is going to be without their parent. Why do you think predators linger around schools? And they know teachers and people is in them schools. They still be bold enough to just ride around schools, though. So to me, it looks like predators enjoy being not just around kids, but places where they think kids will be alone. Because what predator is preying on a child in front of everybody? They already know the penalties that come with that. Like, what predator is just doing that out in the open and people are okay with it? See, places like playgrounds, for example, you might see a lot of kids there by themselves. Older kids, of course. It's very rare you see little toddlers and 5 and under kids at a whole playground by themselves. And if you are one of those parents letting your kid go to the playground at 5 and under, something's wrong. By themselves? It's very few geographical territories that I've seen that have a playground right across the street. Literally, like you can look out your front window and the playground right there. So you watching your kid the whole time. Most times it's a little distance from the home, and predators know this. I seen this one smart parent on TikTok though. Her child was forced to take their dog everywhere they went or whatever. So the kid wasn't really paying attention, but the dog was. And turns out the dog had been watching the predator for a minute. Like, it didn't bark, it didn't try to attack him. It was just standing there with the kid. But see, the dog had already, man, this is deep. The dog had been studying. Y'all probably like, duh, Tetasheri, this what watchdogs are trained to do and stuff. But it was still amazing to see that on camera. Like, the dog had been sitting there. It's like they really can't feel bad spirits on people. Or maybe dogs have this sense where they can pick up on the intentions. People need to just stop saying bad spirits. No, I think dogs, it's not like they mind readers, but they can feel the intentions of people. So if anybody call me a dog, that might be what they're talking about. Because when they call women dogs, they're talking about female dogs. They're talking about the bitch word. But if you compare me to a dog, I'm a lot like a dog when it comes to that. Like, you can feel somebody's intentions from miles away. I don't know why people think humans don't have this same instinct. Maybe they don't. I do. Hell, maybe my dad was half dog. Maybe it's God. Maybe he sprinkled that extra sense in my spirit when I became a parent to be able to sense the intentions of people. You so busy sensing intentions all day, you might as well be a dog. I might as well be a watchdog somewhere. Even watchdogs do get paid. They might not get like physical money, right? Because a dog can't go spend money, but those dogs that work with police or work to protect people who have disabilities and stuff like this, and children, they're very well taken care of. And I'm talking about animals. But people want to treat people, humans, who are able to pick up on intentions like they don't matter. But it's okay. Because this dog in that video, pretty much, let me get to what I was saying. So the dog noticed, I guess, the man studying that child. So the dog was already sitting there watching him. I've learned a lot from dogs. So by the time the man, he had walked up to the child too, trying to offer him some candy or something. Well, what? I just saw this update on Twitter, so I was trying to see what this about. It have something to do with children, though. And it says tens and millions of children show that people really do care. Because maybe Mr. Trump see that, too. It's a lot of parents that's just giving up on their kid. They give up on them before 18. So you know they done with them by the time they're 18. But he's saying there will be these new accounts reserved for children where they, I guess, they put $1,000 in it every year. And by the time they're 18, they can access these funds. That way we don't see so many young people out here on the streets and selling drugs and on drugs because they felt like they had nobody to help them. And shout out Americans who have made this possible. Is America perfect? No, we're not. But these type of efforts do show that people are paying attention where these breakages have hurt us for way too long. Okay? But yeah, we were just talking about predators and how they study their prey. But they never thought the day would come where the prey is studying them. Period. Because the prey is tired. The prey is tired of being preyed upon. Hell, maybe they're tired of being in the position of the prey. So you wasn't even trying to become a predator, but it's like somebody had to start doing something to step in, let the predator know, hey, I'm watching you. I'm seeing exactly how you do everything. You what? Because if you do it that way, maybe other predators are doing it that way. But I do think schools should be more careful with that. Like, how are you checking out children or letting people who are not on their emergency list, the mom didn't write down that they could talk to them or be in compliance with anybody that they're not related to? Since when do schools have the right to give information? Boy, schools, daycares, any type of child facility, you shouldn't be giving information to people, even if they paying you under the table to. Because that's one thing, every action has a counter reaction. A parent is going to be able to tell if it seems like more people are in a business. I don't know what better way to say it. And you sitting here trusting legal professionals and teachers and people and office staffs and all of this to do the right thing when it comes to compliance, to confidentiality and privacy. Actually, I'm finna look up this Privacy Act right now. Not just with the education systems, but a lot of places advertise these privacy acts. Because just imagine, it's something I might even start doing with my business. Because, the more people trust you and they sign a contract saying that their privacy will be protected, you mess around and actually get more business. Because now they have a document proving that you said that their privacy was going to be protected. What do you mean? Every single business in America from this day forward should be required to abide by the Privacy Act and present documents where people have signed these privacy acts or they've signed applications and stuff like this. At the time that they signed it, they thought they were protected by the Privacy Act. If every person in business, even if what they do is a side gig, a side hustle, entrepreneurship, soul work, contract work, 9-to-5 jobs, everybody should be an ideal country abiding by the Privacy Act. So let me go ahead and Google this real quick. Motel and hotel rooms too. That's why I'm talking about it. For no reason, just because a person is renting out a room and they paying their money under their ID, should anybody be able to invade their privacy? It's the professionals who don't get it. It's so crazy. I want to cover this really quick. Let's see. Oh, let me go back. The term Privacy Act referred to the U.S. Privacy Act of 1974 or other state level laws like the California Consumer Privacy Act. This U.S. Act governs federal agencies' collections and use of personal information, giving individuals the right to access, amend, and control the disclosure of their records. See what I mean? What are records? Your personal information. The CCPA and its successor, the California Privacy Rights Act, provides California residents with rights over their personal data collected by businesses. Because, a lot of these businesses and companies, it's not regular people on the streets who would have your personal information every day. It's places that you did business with 5 and 10 years ago. Because that stuff stays in their databases. Why do you think they have so many database breaches? And what's scary about it, out of all these data breach incidents lately, why is it that only certain Americans have been affected by it? But you see other ones who seem to be living a quiet, comfy life. Because if it's a data breach and 1 million people information got leaked, how are not 1 million people suffering? Only 10,000 out of that million is suffering. But you claim on a report 2.6 billion people information got leaked. You would think all 2.6 million people need to be protected. But then when you had a 10,000 stand up and say, hey, I think some identity theft is going on with my information, you want to treat them like they're crazy, like they're paranoid, when the news have already showed us that there have been data breaches? You never know whose information is out there just floating around in the internet records. The purpose is to protect individuals from unfair invasion of privacy by regulating how federal agencies collect, maintain, and use and disclose their personal information. So let's give an example. AT&T, right? They actually been paying out people for some breaches they've had in the past. When you sign up for a new phone service, they're going to ask your address, just some certain personal information, your name, maybe your birthday. This information is supposed to be protected. And how is it your fault as the customer that a data breach leak happens? right? So that's why some people do deem themselves as qualifiable for some of these settlements and contacting these companies and saying, hey, I think I was one of the people that were affected by your breach, so they can get a settlement and move on with their life and do the best they can to piece things back together. Uh, the individual's right is to request access to their own records at any time. So, yeah, if you sign your kid up for school, you call the school and say, hey, I lost my daughter's birth certificate. Can I get maybe a copy that I gave you guys a year ago? They should have no problem giving it to you because the U.S. Privacy Act of 1974 says that it does give individuals to request and access their own OWN information at any given time. It's their information. The right to request amendments to inaccurate, irrelevant, or incomplete records. Protection against unwarranted disclosure of their information without consent, subject to 12 specific exceptions. Requirements: federal agencies must publish systems of records notices in the Federal Register to inform the public about the records they maintain. I'm just reading a little more. Uh, it provides three main rights for citizens and permanent residents: the right to access their own records, the right to request corrections to inaccurate information, and protection against unwarranted invasions of privacy from the government's handling of their data. What does the Privacy Act of 1974 do? It restricts disclosure. It prohibits. Oh man, I clicked off the screen right when I was reading it. Okay. It prohibits federal agencies from disclosing an individual's records without their written consent. Now, I will read the rest with a few exceptions, which the exceptions are not listed here. But this is to trigger you guys' own research. Grants access. It gives individuals the right to access and review their own personal records. And lately, I just felt like more of the world has had more access to my personal records than me. So why stress about it? All I need to know is it's not right. Like, how do a million people that you don't know have more access to your records and personal information than you do? Why would you be blocked out of access to your own personal? That's totally against the U.S. Privacy Act of 1974. But everybody around you has access to something personal regarding your information or your livelihood. It gives individuals the right to request their records be amended. I read that one. It says it establishes fair, FAIR. It's like they read this and told themselves about me. Let's do every unfair practice. Let's just let her know our laws and stuff are not to protect her. As long as they're able to answer for it later. That require federal agencies to be transparent about how they collect, maintain, use, and disseminate personal information. This includes publishing notices of new or modified systems of records, a group of records from which information is retrieved. This is what the system of records is, by the agency using an individual's name or other personal identifier. See, people be working on jobs, just doing favors for people like, will you look this person up for me? They gonna see what come out of that. Because there is a cost to being nosy. There's a cost to every truth. Don't ask me how much I've paid for the truth. But it's costly even when it's the truth about your own life. So why would a stranger think they can just breach something to get information about a person, right? Does the Privacy Act have a limit? Uh, it says something about 12 exceptions, but y'all can do your own research. Now, invasion of this act includes unauthorized data sharing with third parties or using customer information for purposes beyond the scope of its intended use. That's right there in black and white. Uh, it says this occurs when a federal employee accesses, discloses, or mishandles personal and identifiable information or protected records without authorization. What does authorization means? You went to a supervisor and you got approval to go into somebody's file. And I don't think all professionals are doing it. And all professionals are related to somebody. You think all professionals are out here just living independent lives? That's what they're envy of already. No, they got family members, all kind of people they know when they're professionals who might call them for a favor on the side every now and then because they know you're connected to those systems. But what they didn't know is you asking somebody to breach that for you, if they're not wise enough to tell you no, you're pulling them into the same criminal penalties that you could receive. Um, for asking them to do that for you. That's why they're doing more. What's that called? ID me now, fingerprint scans, just more direct ways for people to identify themselves. They're already working on it because of the way people are mishandling people's personal information. I just want y'all to know when these changes happen, that's who y'all need to be mad at. Those who had so much money to pay people to breach people's privacy, data, and personal information. That's who you can blame for these new digital IDs, digital currencies, all this stuff that's going to change. If it's anybody's fault, they definitely help contribute to it. People who like digging in people's personal information. Because this is crazy. It says, okay, hold on. Like the right to erasure, the right to restricting processing, the right to data portable. That means even moving somebody's data to a new system. Uh, the right to object. It says the Privacy Act covers state or territory government agencies, including a state and territory public hospital or healthcare facility, which is covered under state and territory legislation, except certain acts and practices related to my health records and individual identifiers. It says, what are the four types of privacy? Philosophical, legal, social, and technological aspects. It can mean different things to different people. There are different types of privacy. Number one, intellectual. Number two, informational. I'm glad intellectual is at the top. Can we talk about this? That's okay. I'm gonna save this for a separate topic. But it says there are four different types of privacy. Intellectual is top of the list. You have to hear me out about this. What is intellectual? The things that are on your mind, the things that you create, the scenarios, the pictures, the images that you create in your personal mind on a day-to-day basis for as long as you live. The Privacy Act protects that. Your mind, because we know it. Nothing's going to come out of your mouth that wasn't always on your mind. Who and some people maybe they do speak before they think, but not everybody's like that. Most people they process what they were going to say before they said it. This is their intellectual property. Everything that their mind creates. I'll be right back, guys. I knew this. I can't believe I'm actually reading it in black and white. And it be the people that swear in to oaths, did all this training, did all this college degree work, who act like they never researched the Privacy Act of 1974. They're going to look stupid when the four types of privacy that this act in itself protects is intellectual, number one on the list, everything a man thinketh, informational, bodily communication, and territorial. Those are the four types of privacy. Uh, and this is just crazy. That's why I couldn't believe that there were so many breaches, data leak breaches and stuff that would just invade those privacies. Maybe this whole recent social experiment was to see how much people still care about their privacy. Um, a breach of privacy is the unauthorized access, disclosure, loss, or theft of personal information. That goes for documents, house keys, IDs. It's like they create these laws and then they go uh, fund people to break them. It's stupid. Then criminalize those that were actually invaded. This can happen through cyber attacks, accidental errors, of course, or intentional misuse, and may involve exposing sensitive data like names, addresses, social security numbers, and medical records. Hacking and security breaches, unauthorized parties gain access to protected networks and steal data. Accidental disclosure would look like sending personal information to the wrong person, which I've actually had an incident like that. I was trying to text one person and accidentally text somebody else. Any one of us have probably experienced that, but you got to be careful because depending on what you accidentally sent, you could be putting somebody's life at accidentally leak this or that. Those accidental have a whole lot of coverage of evidence that it was an accident. Because anything you do repetitively, how is it an accident? They use that term so loosely. Where are you now? Do, 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 do. Um, this is crazy. It says intentional misuse. An example is a hospital employee accessing a patient's file without a legitimate reason. Even when I was in school for medical assistant, we had a whole training course about that. I forgot what the name of it is, but it's like it's required for most medical assistants to take this course that teaches you against the misuse of accessing patients' files without legitimate reasons. Because hate, jealousy, envy, and nosiness doesn't cut it. That's not a reason to go access somebody's file because you were paid under the table or you just wanted to be nosy. Using or sharing a person's photo or information without their consent. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. How much of that is going on social media right now? On YouTube right now? On TikTok right now? How many people in the new generation find it 100% okay to use or share a person's photo or information without that person's consent? Mm, mm, mm. Excuse that notification, guys. I was trying to see what that was coming through. So it's just crazy. Like it make people look uneducated. Cause improper disposal is another way that people invade the privacy of others. Discarding physical or digital records containing personal information without proper security. That's why shredders exist. Because people will pretend they accidentally threw something in the trash that should have been disposed of a whole different. Lack of access control. An employee with authorized access uses their access for an unauthorized purpose. A data breach exposes customer credit card details and personal information, so you guys be careful auto saving things under Google Credit Card Pay and Apple Pay, all the stuff. It's like, can you trust it? Look how many data breaches have already happened. A person's private photos or videos are shared online without their permission. These are all grounds to sue and come with you know what I'm saying, legal penalties if found guilty, of course. What is it? Okay. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I had the worst headache all day, but I'm gonna go ahead and work through it by recording my streams tonight. It was like a pounding headache. I took Tylenol. I went and got something to eat. I let that cold air touch my skin for a little while, hoping that would snap me out of the headache. But that didn't work because it's done came back. So I don't know. I might call it an early one tonight. A lost laptop that contains unencrypted customer records. No one. Now I'm reading Article 12 to the Privacy Act. It says, "What is the 12 right to privacy? No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, home, or correspondence, nor to attacks upon his honor and reputation." Y'all, let me screenshot this for my own personal reasons. Everyone has the right to the protection of the law against such interference attacks. So, yeah, it says home, family, these are all definitely interference to a person's privacy. For those who need it in clear black and white, invading someone's privacy, because we just have heard a lot of stories of this very stuff happening to people who were paying to live out of hotel rooms. Pretty much the act of invading people's privacy. Why would you think their hotel room is not their privacy, but they had to check in with their ID, their name, their birthday, their personal information? I don't know what this new weird thing is they're doing in this country, where it's like we just gonna test. We got a victim if they don't care about their privacy. Like, who doesn't care about that? That's just like a natural birthright. You wouldn't think that people are sitting on the sidelines waiting to infringe every day. Uh, it says invading someone's privacy is the act of infringing on their right to keep their personal information and life private and free from intrusion. So some people do have stories of doing everything in their life source power to, I quote, keep their personal information and life private and free from intrusion. This can occur through various actions, such as physical trespassing. That's like somebody breaking in your doors, breaking in your windows, breaking in your garage, breaking in your car. It's called physical trespassing. Unauthorized disclosure of private details. Girl, guess what I heard about Jenny? And it's private details. Guess what I heard about Jack or Johnny? And it's private details. or snooping through their belongings. Oh, I've been through that one a lot. Or digital information. You got to be careful. You got those that'll say, can I use your phone really quick? If you're not standing right there by them the whole time that you've given that person access to your phone, you don't know what all they just got out of your phone, do you? It's scary. So, yes, most people keep a screen lock or some type of protection on their phones and devices these days. And if you haven't started doing that, now, right before the entry of 2026, is a great time to start. So you don't fall victim to some of these privacy invasion attempts. Uh, but yeah, it says snooping through another person's belongings or digital information. Because digital information is like their social media account, anything digital. Their social media account, their Google files. Legally, invasion of privacy can be considered a civil wrong or even a misdemeanor, depending on the specifics of the action and the jurisdiction. Now, let me reread this part. It can be considered a misdemeanor or a civil wrong. Even though to y'all it's not a felony, just imagine how many people wouldn't want to hire you because you have a charge on your background that says that you're known for invading people's privacy. Like, who's really going to want you around them? Once they run a background check on you, and because it ain't just police or jobs that do background checks. Other people do them just for their safety before they begin to date somebody, or when it's somebody they trying to meet up with on social media or get to know on social media. I think social media is the great cause of invasion of privacy in a lot of people's lives, because what social media does is give a small peep into the physical life, the physical reality that a person might be living. It never meant that social media and a little peep into somebody's life was their whole life. People have it misconstrued, not me. The only time your whole life is on social media is this you put it on there or somebody else does, which I've never heard of a social media platform that allows somebody to stream for 24/7 hours a day. Like, they never turn off the camera. Since when? I was just wondering, since when? You have streamers that might stay on for hours and stuff like that, but since when have you seen a live stream that just went on for a whole year or two? Like, non-stop. It's crazy. Uh, but yeah, and maybe it's people that aren't legal residents here, and it shows. Like, cause did you know the laws here about privacy invasion? This can occur through various actions like physical trespassing, you stepping on somebody's porch without their permission. That's why the older people would teach you you're supposed to call before you pop up at somebody's premises. They should be aware that you're on the way. Otherwise, it can be looked at as trespassing, especially if this person got proof that they actually been trying to stay away from you. You're doing nothing but trespassing. Or intimidation tactics like, oh, I know where you stay. Don't tell me that too much because I might want to know how you found out. Unauthorized disclosure of private details. This part gets me. It says snooping through belongings. And we're not talking about, y'all know some of us with kids, they do that. That's how some of these kids got access to guns and drugs and stuff they shouldn't even knew about. Because they be snooping around their parents' belongings. So parents, watch out for that too. Especially if you got teenagers in the house, because it's just more stories on the news of these babies being in accidental incidents, just going not through a stranger's belongings, their own parents. You know, legally, invasion of privacy can be considered. Oh, I already read that part. Intentionally intruding on someone's private affairs, either physically or electronically. like listening to private conversations or accessing their computer files. I don't know why God brought me across this information tonight, but it is very insightful. And that's our goal on our insightful topics here at You Will Make It TV, is to spark, you know, other people's own research. You shouldn't take my word for everything I say anyway. You go look into some of this stuff yourself. It's right here on Google under the U.S. Privacy Act of 1974. Um, Public disclosure of private facts. This one is crazy because you just see people doing this all over social media today. They actually get clout from it. It monetizes their pockets to find out your privacy, your secrets, your hidden truths. But what I'm trying to have people look at, if you did not get the consent of the person that you are revealing those truths about, nor do you have any credentials that prove that you're some news reporter. Even news reporters got to be careful with that. You do know news reporters come to some businesses and homes or people and they get the door slammed in their face because the news is not the police where people have to talk to you. So the news stations, anybody like that, they can be sued too if they didn't get consent from somebody to go out there and cover their story. Do not be a fool and think that you have to talk to the news just because they pop up on you. You know, it should be some type of contract or agreement being signed saying that you agree for people to know about your story on the news. Like, I don't know one news station that's ever covered a story about something and they didn't have consent because they wouldn't have been around long. Now, those are the people that know what they're doing. I don't know about all these other people that just, I don't know, they're like bootleg reporters now. You got to watch out for this type of stuff. False light, publicizing misleading information, which they call this clickbait, right? They found a new creative way to cover it up. Clickbait is still painting somebody in a false light just so you can get views. Publicizing misleading information that presents someone in a false and offensive way. Clear offensive crimes though can damage people's mental health. Like, it's one thing to just commit a crime against somebody, but when the crime was intentionally offensive, like you told yourself, I want this to hurt that person, you're asking for jail time. Because now you're saying you are admitting that you did what you did to hurt that person. Appropriation, using someone's name. Y'all know people do this on social media too. Using someone's name or likeness. I want y'all to know this is printed in black and white under the Privacy Act of 1974. Using somebody's name or likeness. Don't forget that word, likeness, like you're trying to be them for one's own financial gain without permission. See, it's like the ones that know the law deliberately. I hope they have fun, I don't know, explaining this to the judge one day, because if you've gone to school for law, training for law, you know these things that I'm saying right here on the stream tonight. Thank you. Okay. It's called a smear campaign. But see, this is why there's criminal charges that surround it if a person chooses to sue you for that. So yeah, using someone's name or likeness for your own financial gain, that means you're getting paid, right? To walk around sounding like somebody, looking like somebody, acting like somebody. What is our country doing? Secretly trying to do away with the Privacy Act? Because a lot of people have been victimized with everything on this list that I just named, especially when they stay at hotels and motels. Physical, entering a person's home or yard. Did y'all hear that part? Forget the home. What are you doing on a yard without their consent to look through their personal belongings? Posting private messages or photos online. Like, I just wonder how many people finna be sued for this type of stuff. Because their emotions were more important than their future. Because their future just looks like jail. When you get so mad at a person that you are willing to go and post their private text messages like me, in my whole 34 years of living, I have never screenshotted. I've screenshotted text message threads, maybe for my own Google Photos gallery, but I've never gone as far to post it just to prove a point. To post it on social media to a whole bunch of people I don't know. I don't know how they live. I don't know what they do. I'm just willing to sit here and post and share my text messages with them. No, I've never been known to do this. Surveillance, using cameras to record someone in a place where they have reasonable expectation of privacy. And the last, information, sharing sensitive personal information with others permission without others permission. So it's like a lot of the people that are even social media users, they're stupid. Literally, they're stupid. They don't even like research the law or anything. They too busy in your business to know that these laws do protect you on social media. If you know your rights. It says, whose responsibility is it to report a privacy violation? Reporting a privacy violation is a responsibility shared by the individual who discovers it, the organization involved, and in some cases, the person whose data was violated. Individuals can report violations directly to the company or to a relevant regulatory body like the FTC. Organizations have an internal responsibility to have procedures for reporting and investigating violations, which you don't see that a lot today. Go to Walmart and try to tell them you think somebody's invading your privacy. It's almost like they try to rush you off the phone. But according to the law, they should have an internal responsibility for people to have a place to report and for them to investigate the violation complaints, while the individual who experienced the violation is often the first to become aware of it and should report it immediately. Because the more people you have doing this, it's just fighting back, showing people, yes, we do still care about our privacy. No young person should use most of their 20s or 30s or even their teen years just fighting for privacy. Something you have a right to have in this country. For those that want to know, you want to report to the company first. Let them know what you've noticed, because they might have a procedure for how they deal with complaints or minor issues. Whether it's a shelter, a hotel, an apartment complex, they all should have procedures for how they handle complaints. And when you notice that you've made so many complaints and the issue has gotten worse, that's just called retaliation, which is also illegal in the middle of an investigation. You shouldn't be retaliating against the person who's trying to speak up for themselves a little bit. And hopefully they don't have proof of it, because then you're really in trouble. Report to state authorities, because it says the Attorney General's office handles privacy complaints, at least in the state of California. Organizations should have a clear policy for reporting violations and must designate privacy officers to handle these issues. Because people could be going through invasion of privacy at work too, where, employees that shouldn't even be going through their personal records do. They do it anyway. I'm so mad at my baby, y'all. I ain't gonna even tell y'all. Why you just open it? The whole leaving presents under the tree thing is apparently not gonna work for us. The little 3 I put under there to start them with, she done already ripped them all open. I'm like, But so we won't put them under there no more. I'm reading one more thing before I close this out, but it says, what is a person's right to privacy mean? Individual privacy rights include the right to be left alone. It literally say this. Control over one's personal information. That means that person has a right to dictate and control how their personal information is being handled. That doesn't mean you can control what people do with your information, but you can, request access to your own information when you need to. Like, let's say you notice mail being stolen. You have a right to notice it and speak up. And protection from unreasonable intrusion into one's private life. So that's all I have to say about this. Like, why are so many people not abiding by the law? Did they know that individuals have a right? A right to protection against unreasonable intrusion into one's private life. It doesn't matter how much the dummies say who's going to stop us. I don't think the U.S. Privacy Act was put there just for a group of people in 2025 to rise up and say, we're going to challenge it, without them thinking their challenge is coming too one day. These rights are protected through common law, constitutional interpretations, and specific statutes like HIPAA for health information and COPA for children's online data. In practice, this often means individuals have rights to access, correct, or delete their data and to be informed about how it's used and shared. I'll be back with a part 2 soon.